I'm Justin Mott. I am a real-life working photographer. I'm a former TV show host from a reality TV show that you've probably never heard of called Photo Face Off. I spent 5 years hosting that show, sponsored by Canon. Now I'm a Leica user, I'm a wildlife photojournalist, I'm an assignment photographer. I've done over 100 assignments for the New York Times. I've shot a bit of everything throughout my entire career. And I'm the owner of Mott Visuals, a commercial photography and video production business based here in Vietnam and working globally. For those of you that are new here, my channel is dedicated to all things photography from the perspective of a working photographer. So I cover gear reviews, BTS, photography advice, business advice, me wearing this weird hat, everything you can imagine photography related, I cover. Today we're going to talk about a question that I get asked the most. And that question is, what makes a great photo? So let's get into it. Before I get into what makes a great photo, if you have a moment to subscribe, please do that. It really helps the channel out and it helps my ego out and it just kind of makes me feel good. And have a visit to my website. If you want to learn more about me or if you're interested in purchasing presets, one-on-one sessions, or you want to buy prints, you can visit www.justinmott.com. So all right, all that aside, let's get into it. What makes a great photograph? So whenever I get asked this question for interviews, I used to do a lot of interviews for my TV show, and I do a lot of interviews about my personal project and just photography in general. And the question I get asked the most is, what makes a photograph great? And I used to give this long, sort of drawn out answer. Through the years, I've learned that it's a lot more simple than that. For me, the answer is, a great photo is any photograph that evokes an emotion. If I take a photograph and you feel something, and you remember that photograph, then I consider that a great photograph. Then I've done my job well. So today I'm just going to cover a few genres of photography, and I'll give you some examples on what kind of emotions I'm trying to evoke with my work in those genres. So let's start with travel photography, something I've done quite a bit in my career. I've done a lot of assignments for the New York Times travel section. So when I'm doing an assignment like that, when I'm doing a travel assignment, I want to evoke the emotion of curiosity or the adventurous side of you. I want to bring that out. Best case scenario when I'm doing a travel story is I want you to book a ticket and go fly to that location, right? Worst case is, at least while you're reading the newspaper, yes, people still read the newspaper, whether that be an actual print newspaper or online, or even if you just see my travel images on Instagram, at least for a moment when you look at the images, I want to transport you to that place. I want you to escape everything around you and I want you to feel what it's like to be in that location. That's my goal when I'm doing travel photography. So I'm trying to evoke those emotions through pictures of people, through the culture, through the architecture, through the food, through the landscape. I want to transport you, whether that be physically in the future there, or even just for a moment while you're looking at the photographs. So how about documentary photography or photojournalism or even just photo stories in general? You know, people always think those emotions have to be sad, right? When you're a young photographer, you think you have to always have sad moments. And that is a huge part of life, and that's a huge part of photojournalism and documentary work as well. But there's tons of other emotions out there as well. You can make people feel happy. You can make people feel curious. You can make people interested and want to research something. So for example, my personal project, Kindred Guardians. Let's use my rhino story as an example here. When I'm doing a story like this, in a single image, I'm hoping to capture that bond, that relationship between the caretaker and the rhino. And when the viewer looks at that, I want them to feel that bond, right? I want them to feel that emotion, feel that friendship, feel that bond. But as a photo story as a whole, I want to take you through a bunch of emotion. I want you to feel sad that there's only 2 left and what happened and how we got to this position. And I want you to feel curious about what's being done to help the rhinos, if anything. And in this case, there actually is something being done, even though the situation is quite grim. So that curiosity that you feel, I'm hoping is leading you to want to learn more, or even look at more images, or look online just to understand more about the plight of the northern white rhino. Or take wedding photography, a day, an event that's just filled with emotions, filled with moments. So for that case, if you're a wedding photographer, you're hoping to capture all these emotions for your clients, for the family, for the couple, for the groom and the bride. You want to capture those moments and make them feel an emotion when they see those moments. When they look back on these images 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, you want to have images that make them feel the emotion of that friendship, that bond, that love, those funny photos, so all of that. If you've evoked an emotion through a single image or through a series of images, you've done a great job. For portrait work, whether I'm doing an editorial shoot out in the field or a shot in a studio for a commercial client, I want you to feel something about the subject, right? I don't want you to look at that photo and not feel anything. If you don't feel anything when you've looked at the image, nothing, then I haven't done a good job. You know, it could be that you're feeling the intensity of the person in the picture. It could be that I'm revealing something about the person, but leaving something out. So that's making you a little bit curious and wanting to know more. Or it could just be a little bit of a mystery. You know, I could leave something out on purpose so that you feel a sense of mystery about that person. Sometimes you're doing that with the way that you're using light. Sometimes you're doing it with what you leave in. Sometimes you're doing it with what you actually leave out of the photograph. Sometimes you're doing it with the environment that's around the person. But sometimes you're just really on the details, and you're doing that through the emotion that you're capturing through their expression. And yes, even for commercial photography, you want to evoke an emotion. So for example, in my hotel work, I shoot a lot of luxury hotels and resorts. One of my biggest clients is Intercontinental Hotels, and when I shoot my aspirational and lifestyle images, I'm hoping to transport people that are on their website or they see the billboard ad. I want to transport you there. Whatever you're doing in your life, I want to transport you to their hotel. I want you to imagine what it's like to experience that 5-star hospitality. I want you to imagine what it's like to be that woman on that balcony overlooking that view. I don't want you to think like I want to be her. I want you to think I want to be where she is. That's what I'm hoping to capture in my image. Or a sense of relaxation like you have here at these images of a luxury hotel with a built-in Japanese onsen. You know, enjoying that view, enjoying that peacefulness, enjoying that relaxation, enjoying that whole experience of an onsen. For those of you who have never experienced an onsen, by the way, definitely go do that if you're ever in Japan. And there's many other examples, and there's many people that have a different take on it. But for me personally, that's what I strive for. I want you to feel something. I feel like if you felt something when you looked at one of my images, you'll remember it. Like even now, take a moment, do this little exercise with me. Close your eyes for like 5 seconds. Close your eyes and think about your favorite photograph. Not that you've taken, I mean, unless you're like a real narcissist like I am, but think about like your favorite image, the image that had the most impact on you, and just sit with that image. Close your eyes, sit with that image in your head. And I bet that image made you feel something then, and I bet you that image makes you feel something now. And that's what you hope to accomplish. Now the tricky part, how to accomplish this, how to do this. Well, here's my advice. First, slow down. Like I have in my vlogs. Slow down for a bit. Don't take shortcuts. Don't look to copy other people's images. Don't look to replicate other images that you've seen before. Look to create your own. Be thoughtful about every decision that you make. Be meticulous and ask yourself and be able to answer to yourself the why. Why did you do any of this? Why did you use a 35? Why did you use a 75? Why did you use a mega wide angle lens? Do everything with purpose. And for a commercial shoot, think about the emotion that you're trying to evoke. Think about that. What kind of emotion are you trying to get out of it for commercial work? And how do you do that? Using all the tools in your kit, using different compositions, using different lighting techniques, using different exposure, using different lenses, using different perspective. Why? All of those things should be answered, and they should all contribute to the emotion that you're trying to evoke in commercial work. And now the flip side, when you're doing documentary work or photojournalism work or a photo story or even candid wedding photography, the opposite is true. Don't plan. Be ready, be prepared, but don't plan. Don't go into your shoot. Don't go into the day with any preconceived notions about what you're gonna capture, about the emotion that you're gonna capture. Let it happen naturally. Now that's a lot easier said than done. It takes patience, it takes time. You have to be prepared, but life happens so beautifully on its own and so natural on its own. If you're prepared and if you're ready, when the moment comes, you'll be ready to capture that. And I guarantee you, if you were ready and you were prepared, you'll take a great photo. You'll take a photo that captures an emotion. You'll take a photo that stands the test of time. You'll take a photograph that years from now, yourself or your client can close their eyes and think about that photo and remember, and it will evoke an emotion. So that's my take on what makes a great photo. You guys can tell me what you think makes a great photograph. And thank you guys for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Take it easy.